I want to talk about right now the top 3 teams that I think need to be trade deadline buyers. Now, important note here, I think, is I'm not talking the Astros, the Yankees, the Dodgers of the world that they always become buyers at the trade deadline, and they always get either a missing piece or just a cherry on top of their already very good team. I'm talking teams that need to buy, and they need to do it this year. So top 3 teams that need to be buyers. First up for me at number 3 is the Arizona Diamondbacks. You all know, if you've been listening to this show this season, you all know how high I am on the D-backs. Coming into this year, my hot take of the 2023 season is that the Arizona Diamondbacks make the playoffs. Well, here we are in early June, and they're in first place, tied for first place with the Los Angeles Dodgers in the NL West, and certainly looking good to make the playoffs. Now, it's still early. A lot can happen, but they're sitting pretty. They need help. Of course they do. Who doesn't as you're coming down the stretch? But I would love to see the D-backs add some pitching. Starting pitching depth and a bullpen arm or 2. That's a big ask, but the name of this list is teams that need to make moves at the deadline. The D-backs are one of them. I love this team. I love what they're doing this year. I love the young core, and I am the driver of the Corbin Carroll bandwagon. Add some pitching to this team, and then I truly believe the sky is the limit. They could be very good, but they have to be very aggressive at the trade deadline. Number 2 for me, the Baltimore Orioles, another team that I just talked to Ken Rosenthal about. What are the Orioles doing? I think is a very fair question. I think you ask anybody out there right now that watches baseball, and they would say the Orioles are a good team, very fun, and have the potential to make the playoffs and compete. Does the Orioles front office believe that? Are they willing to finally go all in? I thought the time was last offseason, but they didn't do it. The time is now for this Orioles team. You have all of these young guys coming up, making a difference. Adley Rutschman, Gunnar Henderson, I have to believe, is going to turn it around and ultimately end up having a good year. All these guys are on the cusp of greatness with this team. I've talked about them a lot this year. I truly believe this team in the Baltimore Orioles is on the cusp of being a juggernaut in the league for a long, long time to come. The blueprint almost follows exactly what the Houston Astros have done over the last decade in terms of being bad for the exact same stretch of time, almost the worst team in the league, getting those number 1 draft picks, getting those draft picks to the big leagues. That's what we're starting to see with the Orioles. Then you have to add, and the time is now. If the Orioles can add a big bat or a big arm or both, this team is more than capable of being everything they want to be and need to be in the playoffs. They can certainly beat anybody. So I would love to see them buy as well. My number 1 team that needs to be buyers at the trade deadline is the Texas Rangers. This Rangers team is more than capable of winning a World Series. I do believe that. They have all the stars. They have the pitching. Now, it's dependent on a few things. It's dependent on Nate Eovaldi being the pitcher he has been all year. He's a top of the rotation guy right now, one of the best pitchers in baseball. I also think if we want to talk Texas Rangers winning the World Series, Jacob deGrom needs to be a huge part of that playoff run, the rest of the season, the World Series, of course. And as of right now, he's just been transferred to the 60-day IL. He has at least a couple more weeks still, a few more weeks left on the IL. He would need to be a big part of that. But offensively, they have the highest run differential in the league. They're one of the best teams, if not the best offense in baseball. Starting pitching, if they can have deGrom, if they can have Eovaldi, they certainly have the rotation and the depth to compete in the playoffs. Relief pitching, bullpen. It's a no-brainer. It hits you right in the face with this Rangers team. They have a ton of talent. They have a ton of superstars. They have a massive, massive problem in the bullpen. It just hits you right in the face. They need bullpen. Bullpen is available. I wouldn't be surprised if they end up with an Aroldis Chapman, if they end up with a Barlow from the Royals as well, who Ken Rosenthal mentioned, or another name out there that maybe we don't know is a name that's available yet on the bullpen market. But this Rangers team is more than capable of winning. They just cannot They cannot win right now in the playoffs with the current state of their bullpen. They can win in the regular season. They can get to the playoffs. But come playoff time, you can't have the bullpen the Rangers do right now and win. And I do believe they are going to add. They've proven over the last couple of years that they're willing to do anything to get back in it. And they've sped up their rebuild process exponentially by spending over $500 million to bring in Semien, Seager, and then they add Jacob deGrom to that equation, totally revamp the pitching staff. Now it's time with the bullpen. The trade deadline is the time. The Rangers are the clear number one team that needs to be buyers at the trade deadline, because their need means if they fill that void, we could be talking about a World Series team. I truly believe that. So Rangers number one, Orioles are number two for me, and the D-backs are number three. Thanks for watching. If you love flipping bats, swinging 3-0, or just talking ball, join us. Call us at 213-537-9339 with your questions. We have a weekly guest, and we have a lot of fun, so hit that subscribe button.